Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome back to yet another one. So what ended up happening was got out of work and noticed just a little bit of a puddle underneath the driver's side rear, and thought it was from some other car leaking some oil. So stopped at a store and noticed still leaking. So I checked underneath, and sure enough, the brake line on the caliper was leaking. So it looks like it's just going to be the crush ring, but I'll get on there and show you exactly where it's at. But just in case it is, we've got some crush ring washers just specifically made for the brake caliper, brake line. So got that, and then some .3. So with these older Suburbans, they take the .3, so I ended up doing the synthetic fluid. May as well go synthetic, can't go wrong. But let me show you where it's leaking. Alright, so you can see the puddle. I actually moved the Suburban back a little bit, but you can see it's kind of soaked on the tire. And then right here, so that is your brake line right there. You can see the brake line going up. And when I have somebody step on the brake, it leaks right in between the caliper and the brake line itself. So I just got some new crush washers in hopes to fix it with just that, because it's only $3.90 for that. Alright, and then if worst case scenario, if those washers do not work, then I'll just buy a new brake line. New brake line's like 25 bucks. And I'll go that route. So what I'll do is start disconnecting it and get going. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect the brake line, which is right here. I know it may be a little hard to see. That's all I'm going to do. Take this bolt off. You can either use the 11 or a 7/16. None of them will strip them out. I'm just going to take that brake line off and replace the washers. I'm going to have the camera back just a little bit because I don't want to ruin my phone. And as far as the fluid dripping out, I really don't care because I'm going to replace all the fluid with some new stuff. So it's not going to bother me. It's a good time to change out your brake fluid anyways. These crush washers sometimes don't like to come out, so you'll have to twist them off. Sometimes even use some pliers. All I'm doing is just gripping onto that washer. Try and twist it off. Just be careful you don't get on the threads, ruin your threads. But if you do have a crush washer that doesn't want to come off, just do what I'm doing, just grab, you can see your crush washer right there. You just want to grab some pliers, grip on just to the washer, grab your socket, twist it off, and eventually it'll come off. All right. There we go. Got that out, and there's the crush washer. And now what we need to do is get the crush washer off of this bolt. Either use your fingernail, which I don't got, or knife. Just be careful not to destroy it. I used some pliers, came right off. So now I'll just grab the new crush washer. Then what I'm going to do is wipe this down, make sure there's no little particles on the surface. And then wipe the surface of the caliper portion as well. Looks like there's quite a bit of corrosion up here on that. If I can get in there without getting the camera off. Alright, so you can see the surface right here. It's built up just a little bit of rust. So I'm gonna have to clean that off. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and with the new crush washer on the nut or bolt. Make sure you put one on both sides of the brake line. And put her back on. Alright, well that's it. So now what we'll do is go through, I'm gonna put some new fluid in the reservoir, go through and bleed the whole brake system. Alright, so this reservoir is pretty much empty. So what I'm gonna do is top it off with some new brake fluid. This little plunger back in. Alright, so now what we'll end up doing is now that the reservoir is full, we'll have somebody get inside. They'll push on the brake, and as they push on the brake, I'm going to open up that bleeder screw on top of the caliper. It's going to relieve any air bubbles that are in the system, and it'll also help me get rid of all the old fluid that's in the lines. Alright, so when we started trying to bleed the system, this is the bleeder screw that goes on top of the caliper. Nothing was coming out. So I can see this is cleared up right here. But as far as this goes, you can see that part is clogged up. So I'm gonna have to break whatever is loose in there, get it out, and then I'll be able to properly bleed the system. And I have never done the brakes on this thing since I bought it, so. And I did check the brake pads, that's about it. But all I'm doing is reaming out that hole. Should be a hole right there. Bring that down, and now you can see some stuff starting to come out. All right, I think I got it. So there we go, you can see that Allen head inside. So now that I've cleaned that out, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray this out with some brake cleaner, make sure there's no contaminants in there, and then we'll get back to bleeding the entire system. Alright, so now that I got that bleeder screw completely cleared out, got all the contaminants out of it, sprayed it out, I just screwed it back into the top of the caliper. Let me show you. Right where that wrench is, right there. So that's your bleeder screw. It's always going to be on top, so that way you can get all the air out of it. So now what we're going to do is, I got my boy up there in the car, and I'll be having him push down. And as he pushes down, I'm going to open up the bleeder screw, and it's going to allow some fluid to come out. So the fluid will start to come out of this top portion, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hurry and close it, and then tell him to lift up on the brake pedal. It'll come back up. Then same procedure, push down. Once he's pushed down, then you can open up your bleeder screw, and then you're going to close your bleeder screw. And then he's going to release the brake pedal and just keep repeating that process till all the air bubbles are out. All right, Liam, go ahead and push down. Okay, up. Down. Up. Down. Keep going down. Okay, up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Okay, so what I've been doing is, after a while of doing that, my brake fluid level went down here. So just periodically, just check your reservoir, make sure that you still have brake fluid in your reservoir. If you don't, then you'll just have to repeat this process over and over and over. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all four sides. So once you've seen one, you've pretty much seen it all. But let's see if I can get a close-up exactly what I'm seeing to help you guys out. All right, Liam. Go down. Up. Down. All right, so what I did is went through, see if I can get down in here. Went through every caliper and ended up bleeding it. And just remember, the bleeder screw is always going to be on top. And try and catch it in a pan. Clearly overshot it. But I'll go through and clean this all up. But like I was saying, make sure you check your reservoir. You can see I got full fluid in there. You're gonna have to fill it up a couple times. The reason why I went through one full bottle, and I just wanted to get all that old fluid out because it was kind of burnt, and whoever owned this before really didn't take care of it. So let me show you. All right, so we ran into some issues. So trying to bleed this right rear caliper, right up here on top, that right there is supposed to be a bleeder screw. For some reason, they sheared it off, and yeah, so if I ever need to do brakes on this rear, I'm gonna have to get a new caliper no matter what. But what we end up doing is we got those crushed copper rings for the brake line. Got that installed on the left rear. Got that left rear. The right front, we ended up bleeding this. You can see right here. You got your bleeder screw. All right, Liam, go ahead and start the car up.
Okay.
So now that we went through and bled everything, got all the air bubbles out, all the old fluid out, brake pedal's nice and tight. There you go. Just leave it how it is. All right, then what I'm gonna have you do, dude, so this is gonna test the system on this part that we just replaced. So with the car on, it's gonna give the brakes more power. All right, Liam, go ahead and pump the brakes. So now what we're having them do is pump the brakes. And this is gonna get a lot of pressure on the caliper. And as you can see, it is not leaking anymore. So all this ended up doing was costing $4, pretty much $4 for the washers, the crush washers. And then a bottle of brake fluid, which was, I believe, $9. And I went with the synthetic, so you can't go wrong with that. Now it's time to wash her all up. All right, guys, so we got everything all washed up, cleaned up, myself included. So it didn't take too long to fix that brake issue, all new fluid and everything like that. So just make sure you're doing a walk around on your car. If you see any leaking fluids, figure out where it's coming from. Other than that, you guys have a good day, and thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Say bye.
Bye.